Hey, if you like watching my videos, please feel free to give them a like. And so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos, click subscribe. Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining me for another episode. Hey, really quick thing, some people have asked me if I'm naturally slow at building models, and actually to the contrary, I think I'm pretty quick. Actual time spent on them, I think I'm fairly quick. It's just my videos don't come out very often because finding the time to work on them is my issue because of, having a full-time job, family. Sometimes I have a week or two without even being able to work on a model at all. So anyway, just wanted to clear that up. That's why I don't have things come out as quickly as I would like, and I've also been doing a few commission builds on the side. So anyway, getting back to this guy here, I'm going to start out by working on the lasers. So I've got some 1/2 millimeter fiber optic here, and what I'm doing is I'm going to cut a little piece off. And then I'm going to put it inside the laser and push it all the way through until it comes out the inside of the model. And there it is poking through the inside, and I'm going to push it back just so that it's flush with the plastic. That's how I want it. Right there, so it's flush. Then I'm going to flip it over, and that little excess sticking out I'm going to snip off with my sprue cutter and make it flush with the front of the laser cannon. As you can see there, you can't really see it sticking out at all. So I've got both of them done now, and this is a 0402 green LED which I will use to light up the lasers, and you can see here how it lights up green, and you can see when it's put behind there it shines through the fiber optic and comes out the tip of my laser cannon. Looks pretty good. And as I said, I have put fiber in both sides now, so the other side lights up as well. So you'll notice here that there's some light leakage. It's a little thin with the paint job, I guess, and there's a little around the edge. So what I've done is I've gone through and painted some black around the inside for more light blocking. And then you can see here with it a little bit darker, you can see there doesn't seem to be any light leak at all, nothing coming through the plastic of the model. So I've got my LED here attached to a piece of electrical tape, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the LED right over my fiber optic and hold it in place with the electrical tape. And then what I've done is I've gone around the electrical tape with super glue and super glued down all the edges and glued just the end of the wires there of the LED. And now I've gone through and done it to both of them, as you can see here. And when I turn the light on, which it is on as you can see there, there's no light leak on the inside because of the electrical tape, and that'll hold them in place. And then here they are working through laser cannons, firing, and you can see that they work really well. So moving on to the engines, I did the same thing. I painted black all around my holes that I had drilled out previously, and that'll be light blocking for the engine LEDs. And then I've also put a piece of black electrical tape around those holes and put holes through the electrical tape and then pushed fibers through there as well. And I used 1mm fibers, and these fibers I did not have come all the way out to the tips. They're actually receded a little bit so it'll look more like the engine is inside there. So I've got no 402 red LED here, and I'm just going to tape it in place momentarily. And this is just to do a test to make sure that it looks okay and there's no light leakage. And when I attach it to a battery here, you can see the LED coming on and flickering there. And on the other side here, you can see it coming through, and it's like recessed a little bit. And there's no light leakage at all, nothing coming through the plastic of the model. So I'm pretty happy with how that's looking and how that's turning out. So at this point, the way I'm going to attach these is I'm actually just going to use some regular old Elmer's glue, and I'm going to have that hold my LEDs into position over the ends of the fiber optics for the engines. I'm not worried about light leak on the inside of the model since it's red and the interior cockpit is red anyway, so that's not going to interfere. So I've got both my LEDs glued in place here, as you can see, and the wires are just taped down for safety so they don't get yanked. And here they are on and flickering, and here we have them shining through on the engines. And again, I'm really happy with how this has turned out, and I think it's looking really good. So at this point, moving on to the cockpit, you'll notice here on the inside of the photo etch there's a gap here in the corner where it doesn't go all the way to the wall. There's also a gap at the top here. So again, right down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill that in, and I've cut out some little triangular pieces of styrene here to the shape of that. And you can see I've got one here, and when I put it down in place, how it's going to just fit right inside there and fill in that gap. So I've gone and I've taken all four of them and I've painted both sides with black so that one, it matches the black photo etch, and two, for additional light blocking. And then I'm just going to take some super glue and run a little super glue along the edge of the photo etch here. And then I'm going to take my styrene piece and I'm just going to hold that and glue that into position. And there we go. So I've gone through and I've glued in my pieces in the top and bottom. Here's the bottom, the top. I've also done a little putty along the bottom and painted it black so that there's no light leak through the bottom seam of the wall. So what I'm going to do here is shine a light through just to make sure I don't have any light leaking. And you can see along the back wall there's no light coming through. There's nothing leaking through the bottom. The light you're seeing is just shining through the little photo etch holes. And the other side has been done as well. And then here's just how it looks now with my styrene pieces attached, you know, from the front side, and how it'll look when it's actually installed to the interior of the hull. Okay, so I've got this piece of paper that I cut out to a shape here, and it's to wrap around and mimic my LED panel that I'll be using. And you can see it covers the sides, but I trimmed it down in the back, trying to make it as slim as possible to fit inside the cockpit, inside the body of the cockpit rather. So I'm just going to put this piece of paper right over the LED panel and trace out the shape onto the LED panel. And now comes the fun part. I've never used this stuff before, so I'm just going to cut it because I'm told you can do that and it'll work just fine. So here we go. Alright, I've got it cut out now in the shape that I'd like it to be in. And I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little test plug in to make sure my little panel works. And as you can see there, it lights up and works just fine. Awesome. So, off to a good start here. So this is a rather large connector here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to cut it down and trim it down so that it'll fit inside the model easier. So I've gone around and I'm trying to cut this shrink tubing off. And that'll thin it out a little bit so it's not quite as thick. And then you'll notice this tab here, I'm going to cut that off so that it's a little more bendable there where the wires are connected. That'll give me a little more room for the panel to go underneath the floor and come out the bottom of the model kit, as you can see there. So this leftover piece, actually there are still some edge strips here, as you can see. So technically I should be able to attach wire to it and still use the rest of this sheet, so that's good. So here is my cutout panel, and you can see how it, if I can pick it up here, how it will wrap around the side and hopefully illuminate the sidewalls of my cockpit. So it just needs to be inserted right inside here and wrap around the interior. So I think the easiest way I'm going to do this is I'm actually going to use some hot glue here, and I'm just going to put a drop of hot glue right in the center portion here and stick down the panel to the back wall of the ship for the moment. I'm just going to carefully put it in there and hold it in place until that hot glue takes hold of it. So I've got it glued into the back. You can see here how it wraps around the inside, and I can turn it on and how it lights up the inside of the kit. So everything's looking pretty good so far. I think it's going to work. So I now have the cockpit mounted in place just with a little bit of super glue at the top and bottom. Actually, I used hot glue, not super glue. And you can see how it lights up. And you can see here that my engine LEDs are still working. So that's still in play. So we're at the point now where it's time to go ahead and attach the front portion of the kit. And I'm going to carefully slide this on. And okay, that's a little unfortunate. The walls popped out because the EL panel is a little too stiff and it's not fitting in there, and it forced my walls to pop out. Okay, so I've pulled all this out. That's a little unfortunate, so I'm gonna have to figure this out at this point. I'm gonna close the video out with this. This is just rigid. I'm gonna have to see if there's something I can do about this. So I'm gonna see if I can try to reshape it and rework it, or if I'm going to have to do a different lighting route entirely. But I got to re-glue these walls back on to the cockpit. So thanks for watching. my next video, I will have it covered one way or another, whether I get the EL panel working or come up with another solution. But this is a bummer. But hey, this is a good thing for people to see that problems happen, and you're seeing it as it happens for me. So thanks again for watching, and join in next time.